Hey everybody, John the Other here, obviously. This is my second attempt at this video, and I'm going to try to give a little more perspective than I did in my first go-through. There's a new bill being proposed, a new law. It's called Bill C-51 right now, by Canada's Liberal government, and it's being tabled with the claim that it's going to protect sex assault victims. What it actually does, or what it will do when it's passed into law, is prevent an accused person from having evidence showing their innocence. For example, if you have a sexual encounter with somebody and you are texting leading up to that event and you're texting afterwards and the texts say things like, hey, that was really fun, you're really fun to have sex with, or I liked it when you did, whatever, or any kind of stuff like that. And I'm not going to get too graphic about it, but you know what kind of texts people send before and after a sexual encounter, because you've sent those texts and you've received them. Those texts would indicate to a sensible person the character of the relationship between those two people, the character of the sexual encounter. If there's lots of friendly texting back and forth after a sexual encounter, well, then it was probably a pretty good sexual encounter and not, a rape. But if any of that text messaging now under this new law, once they make it a law, has any sexual content in it, that will be barred from evidence in a sex assault trial in Canada. Meaning, if you're accused, the evidence that you might use to show that, in fact, you're innocent and it was a completely consensual encounter, that evidence is going to be barred from entry into the court. If you have like a signed document listing a number of sexual activities and your fling signed it at the bottom and wrote down their driver's license number, I agree to all this stuff, that document, should you have one, would now be barred from entry into evidence to show that that in fact was a not only consensual but contractually agreed on sexual activity. So this new law or bill to supposedly protect the victims is actually eliminating the possibility of anybody defending themselves when they are in fact innocent of a fraudulently made sex assault accusation. Canada. Now, just in case you think I'm being hyperbolic or too reactionary here, this is our Liberal Justice Minister, Jody Wilson-Raybould, and she's about to explain to you some of the benefits of this new law.
These changes would help prevent expensive, time-consuming litigation in cases where the outcome can already be safely predicted.
What we're really talking about here is getting rid of, eliminating from a criminal trial, the concept that it's an inquiry into evidence, a discovery of the truth. And we're going to start from the premise that the accuser is telling the truth and start from the premise that the person who is trying to defend themselves from an accusation, well, of course, they don't get to do that. They must be guilty because somebody said so. And we're just going to save a bunch of money by skipping all those steps. Canada is fast-tracking itself. It's on the slipperiest of rails towards a totalitarian, lawless, banana republic police state. And I'm not talking like in 5 years. We're talking like this time next year. Our government is flagrantly violating the Constitution of Canada, violating principles of due process, violating the spirit of inquiry, the basic concept of justice, in such a grotesque and outlandish manner that if you made this the plot of a badly written Marvel comic about a future dystopian society, it would be too outlandish to use as a comic book plot. And yet, that's what's actually going on in Canada. It used to be when I wrote about unconstitutional laws or unjust laws, I would write about them, 10 or 12 times over a period of a year. But what's happening now is these grotesque laws violating the civil rights of individuals are coming so fast in Canada and passing into law so fast that I'm doing one new law practically every week that is violating and eliminating your basic civil rights if you're a citizen of this country. Am I going to have to start doing more videos so that I can, fit in more laws that violate your rights? maybe 2 or 3 per week. I'm not sure I have time for that. I have, a job and clients of the Lighthouse Project to work for. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. And please check the links in the low bar, because very quickly, by the way, this is wildly unconstitutional and unjust, which I suspect means that the government is going to fast track it into law. That seems to be the way this goes. Thanks very much for watching, and please check the links in the low bar, and have a lovely day. Now, one of the things that Lighthouse does, which is an organization whose mandate is to protect the basic civil rights of people who are falsely accused, Lighthouse is obviously against this, because this is I could say grotesque, I could say outrageous, I could say insane violation of, your civil rights. Yours. You. But none of those descriptors are really adequate. There isn't a superlative that really has enough power to encompass how totally grotesque and insane this is. But Lighthouse has the mandate of trying to protect the civil rights of people who are falsely accused, and we take on clients, and we help build their defense for them, and we help them deal with their lawyer and so on. If you think that's a worthwhile project, there's another link, aside from the articles in the low bar, to our Patreon and to a PayPal donation link. I'm not saying you gotta click it, just saying if you think this is important, maybe you want to click it. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and as always, have a lovely day.